See, I know he's not your ordinary. He's a black guy with crypto. He's a black guy with crypto. He's a black guy with crypto. A black guy with crypto.
Bitcoin. Some say it's digital gold. Some say it's a store of value. But someone says it's a gift. Now, crypto has been highly popular. We're talking about celebrities. We're talking about retail. We're even talking about the news and Elon Musk. But no one's talking about what happened on July 4th of 2025. Bitcoin will never be the same. And Bitcoin is exploited.
The real Bitcoin was created by Satoshi Nakamoto. BTC was created by blockstream. And here we are, we're going to explain it to you right here.
Let's talk about blockstream. Blockstream hasn't been around for as long as many think, only being founded in 2014 by Adam Back and made public in 2015. Now employing most of the active Bitcoin core developers, this new corporation has nearly complete control over Bitcoin Core, Bitcoin's single development team. Notice that I said corporation. Blockstream isn't a foundation. It isn't community-funded, donation-based, or even self-funded for that matter. It's a for-profit company with products, employees, and investors. But how does a for-profit company profit from developing a peer-to-peer decentralized cryptocurrency that is designed to have no intermediary roles to pull profit from? Well, you create them. Adam Back, Blockstream CEO, states, Blockstream plans to sell sidechains to enterprises, charging a fixed monthly fee, taking the transaction fees, and even selling the hardware. End quote. Sidechains are a separate blockchain that is pegged to Bitcoin's value. You send one Bitcoin to a smart contract and receive a new coin on the sidechain. Coins on the sidechain can differ from Bitcoin in just about any way. They can have better smart contract capabilities, offer instant transactions, or anonymity features. But the key difference between sidechains and the Bitcoin blockchain is that transaction fees don't go to the miners, they go to the developers of the sidechains. This should set off some major red flags. These profitable sidechains fill in the gaps of what Bitcoin is not capable of. The more Bitcoin is capable of, the less sidechains will be used. And the more limited Bitcoin is, more profit can be pulled by more users needing to use the sidechains. Blockstream doesn't make profit on what Bitcoin can do. Blockstream makes money on what Bitcoin cannot do, while in control over Bitcoin's development. This is a clear conflict of interest. You can take this to two extremes. One, if Bitcoin scales perfectly on-chain, has reliable instant transactions, and general smart contract capabilities, there will not be a need for side chains or second layers. The company will have no source of income and will eventually fail. Or the other extreme. If Bitcoin can't scale on-chain, has unreliable transaction times, high fees, no smart contract capabilities, there will be endless ways to profit from Bitcoin's shortcomings. And we all know what has happened since 2015. Bitcoin's block size has not been raised. Transaction fees fluctuate wildly. Confirmation times are completely unreliable. Zero confirmation instant transactions were removed. The opcodes allowing smart contracts were also removed. All on-chain progress has been halted, other than compatibility upgrades for the integration of second layers. All while Blockstream has been working on their second layers like Liquid and Lightning. Second layers on the Bitcoin chain are really more accurately described as fee harvesting layers, attempting to restore the original functionality of Bitcoin while redirecting fees and decision-making from the miners to the developers. Blockstream's need for these fee harvesting layers was further increased when they began raising investment money, taking a total investment of over $80 million from large institutions such as AXA Strategic Ventures and the Digital Currency Group, which have considerable ties to MasterCard, the Federal Reserve, the Bilderberg Group, and various other central banking entities, raising further questions to the motives and ethical nature of those in charge at Blockstream. It's clear that their values are no longer in line with the original Bitcoin community, which is why most of them have left the BTC chain.
So is Blockstream's goal to generate profit or to increase the value of Bitcoin?
So we actually have Green Address also. It's the consumer wallet, the mobile wallet. But yeah, largely right now, all of our stuff is free. Mm-hmm. We're mainly focused on R&D. We have been very focused on R&D. We'll have Liquid coming out early next year, hopefully, fingers crossed. And that will be a commercial service that will generate revenue. But the goal is everything will generate revenue. It's not just we're going to build stuff for free forever.
Yeah.
So even for Blockstream Satellite.
Now, as you see, Bitcoin was completely compromised and crippled. The original Bitcoin protocol that was launched in 2009 is completely different than what we know as BTC today. Bitcoin was designed to be revolutionary and to be peer-to-peer digital cash, one of its kind. Blockstream came in and disrupted that natural harmony and created an altcoin called BTC. The moment that you change any core principles of the Bitcoin protocol, you change Bitcoin. So when they decided to add Lightning Network, Liquid, and segregated witness, that changed Bitcoin from digital peer-to-peer cash to an altcoin, which they twisted the narrative to be digital gold and a store of value. It's all a sham. Bitcoin was created perfect. No one knows who created it. It's all speculation. But what you have to understand is, since they cannot recreate Bitcoin, they have to hijack it and they have to alter it. And when they hijacked Bitcoin, it compromised it and made it a weaker network and insecure. Anytime you change the core principles and protocol of Bitcoin, you are now crippling the network and making it weaker and able to be exploited or taken advantage of.
Now, on July 4th, 2025, one of the largest transactions in Bitcoin history have occurred. We're talking about $9.5 billion worth of BTC, Bitcoin. I'm talking about Satoshi era wallets. We're talking about wallets that haven't moved since 2014. This wallet has moved and has literally shook the entire cryptocurrency world. Now, why now? Why is these tokens being moved at a time where Bitcoin is over $100,000 per Bitcoin? Why is these tokens being moved while we have some sense or the closest sense of regulatory clarity that we ever seen ever in crypto? Why? Why now? So we just uncovered a real deep dive by the guy named Cypher Tux. Cypher Tux is a guy on Twitter. He's an anonymous guy. And the information we're going to show you guys, there's nowhere to be found on the internet. It's literally gone. He's a coder, and he said that it's actually been hacked. So the evidence that we're going to present is something that's going to change your life. This is the biggest exploit in financial history, and I believe it's real.
On July 4, 2025, American Independence Day, $8.6 billion worth of Bitcoin was moved under circumstances that defy all conventional logic. This investigation reveals the backstory of an event that could redefine our understanding of cryptographic security. 8. The historic event, when $8.6 billion moves in silence. July 4, 2025 will remain etched in Bitcoin history. During the day, 80,000 BTC, equivalent to $8.6 billion at current prices, were simultaneously moved from 8 wallets that had been dormant for over 14 years. Each wallet contained exactly 10,000 BTC, in perfect symmetry that immediately rules out any coincidence. This surgical coordination represents the largest Bitcoin movement ever recorded in a single operation. But beyond the dizzying figures, It's the very nature of this transaction that raises questions. Because unlike the usual whale awakenings, this operation bears all the hallmarks of a technical demonstration, or a major cryptographic exploit. The concerned wallets, fossils from the Bitcoin era. The 8 addresses involved share troubling characteristics. Identical format, all use the P2PKH, pay to pub key hash, standard, massively employed in Bitcoin's early years. Total inactivity, no outgoing transactions since their creation, between 2010 and 2011. Uniform amounts, exactly 10,000 BTC per wallet, suggesting a common origin. Same activity, period. All funded during the golden age of early adopters. Mantelpiece origin transaction revelation, 2 creation waves. Analysis of origin transactions reveals that the 8 wallets were created in 2 distinct waves, with different patterns that deserve documentation. Water wave, first wave, April 2, 2011. Unified pattern, single source address funds 2 wallets. 2108 UTC, 1 HQXB9 SR, right arrow 12 TLs 9C9. 10,000 BTC, view transaction. 2218 UTC, 1 HQXB9 SR, right arrow 1 KBR SKRT. 10,000 BTC, view transaction. Water wave, second wave, May 4, 2011. Distributed pattern, multiple source addresses for 6 wallets. 0114 UTC, 1 harder, right arrow 1 P1 ITHX. 11,326 BTC, view transaction. 0128 UTC, 1 FVM PSU, right arrow 1 C PASI-T. 10,006 BTC, view transaction. 0140 UTC, 1 ETCR4G, right arrow 14 IC4 MZ. 10,000 BTC, view transaction. 0201 UTC, 19 Twime, right arrow 1 UC XXCQ. 10,000 BTC, view transaction. 0201 UTC, 1 JFC 35J, right arrow 1 Bafuk. 10,000 BTC, view transaction. 0210 UTC, 1 NMB MVH, right arrow 1 F1 MYF. 10,000 BTC, view transaction. The dormant wallet paradox. This case reveals what could be called the dormant wallet paradox. The longer a wallet remains silent, the more we assume it's lost forever. And yet, the longer the silence lasts, the more strategic it becomes. Inactivity feeds forgetfulness, but sometimes masks extreme vigilance. In the Bitcoin universe, absence of movement is not necessarily forgetfulness. It's sometimes a stance. The thesis that dormant wallets were probably lost forever seems increasingly wrong. On the contrary, the more time passes, the more facts suggest that some of these wallets are not forgotten, but watched, and sometimes reactivated with surgical precision. This uniformity is not insignificant. It suggests that these wallets don't belong to distinct investors, but result from a common generation process, possibly automated. Receipt hidden messages, when the blockchain becomes communication terrain. But the most intriguing aspect of this case lies in the 4 op-return messages inscribed on the blockchain just before the main transfer. These digital graffiti reveal meticulous staging. First message, declaration of war. Legal notice, we have taken possession of this wallet and its contents, an unambiguous message. The entity behind this operation publicly claims possession of the funds, with legal formalism reminiscent of real estate seizures. Second message, the ultimatum. Not abandoned. Prove it by an on-chain transaction using private key by Sept30. More than a provocation, it's a technical challenge. The message requires legitimate owners to prove their possession by signing a transaction with their private keys, the only irrefutable proof of ownership in the Bitcoin universe. Third message, legitimation. Notice to owner, see salamanbros.com/owner notice. The reference to an external site professionalizes the operation. By visiting the Salomon Brothers site, we discover a complete legal notice explaining the claim procedure and establishing a legal framework for appropriating abandoned funds. Fourth message, the artistic signature. 4-8-15-16-23-42, the famous lost numbers from the TV series Lost. To understand the scope of this reference, we must dive back into the universe of this cult series, 2004-2010. These 6 numbers constitute one of the central mysteries of the plot. They appear everywhere on the mysterious island, must be entered every 108 minutes in an underground station to save the world, and seem cursed, bringing misfortune to anyone who uses them, lottery, gambling, etc. In Lost, these numbers represent the obsession with control in the face of the unknown, the question of destiny versus free will, and above all, the idea that certain secrets are too dangerous to be revealed. The parallel with this Bitcoin operation is striking. Someone who holds a potentially revolutionary and dangerous technical secret for the crypto ecosystem chooses to sign their exploit with these cursed numbers. Even more troubling, in Lost, these numbers eventually cause a global catastrophe when their control system fails. A subliminal message about the potential consequences of this exploit. But the most intriguing discovery remains to come. The episode Orientation of Lost, where Desmond reveals the crucial importance of these numbers, which must be entered every 108 minutes to save the world, was first broadcast on ABC on October 5, 2005. Exactly 20 years later than the Bitcoin deadline. This temporal coincidence is statistically impossible. It confirms that the operation was conceived as a total narrative work, where every detail has meaning. The entity behind this operation does not simply perform a technical exploit, it signs a cryptographic performance of unparalleled sophistication. A detail that confirms deliberate intent. In-depth analysis of the addresses reveals an additional troubling detail. One of the destination addresses, BC1QWQ5G93H01, NFSRMNWNFUCTF 9IP4UL4J, explicitly contains the word fuck in its sequence. This statistically quasi-impossible coincidence confirms that nothing was left to chance in this operation. Generating a Bitcoin address containing a specific word requires considerable computing power and a deliberate vanity address process. That the entity behind this operation took the time and resources to generate an address containing this provocative term reveals several things. Artistic intention. Every element of the operation carries a message. Technical mastery. The ability to generate custom addresses demonstrates advanced expertise. Calculated provocation. The choice of the term, fuck, is not random in an operation that defies conventions. Personalized signature. Like the lost numbers, it's an intentional trademark. This discovery adds to other artistic elements. Lost numbers, July 4th timing, October 5th deadline, to confirm that we are not facing a simple technical exploit, but a total cryptographic artwork. This sequence of messages reveals a sophisticated strategy mixing legal intimidation, technical challenge, and cultural references. The complete opposite of a simple opportunistic hack. DNA, the technical hypothesis. The P2PKH flaw finally exploited. The uniformity of the targeted wallets and their P2PKH format raise a disturbing question. What if someone had succeeded in exploiting a cryptographic weakness? Vulnerabilities of the P2PKH format. The P2PKH format, although still used today, presents characteristics that distinguish it from modern standards. Independent generation. Each address has its own private key, generated separately. Absence of hierarchical structure. Unlike modern HD wallets, BIP32, BIP39, no common seed. Variable entropy. The quality of randomness depended on the generation tools of the time. The exploited pattern theory. The most troubling hypothesis is that these 8 wallets share a common defect in their generation. Several scenarios are possible. 1. Faulty generator. Many paper wallet creation tools, popular between 2010 and 2013, used weak or predictable pseudorandom generators. 2. Insufficient entropy. If the keys were generated with a compromised random source, system clock, faulty generator, they could be reconstructible. 3. Algorithmic pattern. Once a first key is cracked, analysis of its structure could reveal an exploitable pattern to identify other vulnerable keys. Historical precedents. This hypothesis is not pure speculation. Bitcoin's history records several cases of private keys compromised by generation defects. JavaScript generator, flaws from Bitcoin paper wallet. Android entropy problems, identified in 2013. Brain wallet exploits with 2 predictable phrases. If this theory is confirmed, we may be witnessing the most sophisticated exploitation ever carried out against Bitcoin. Balance legal staging, protection or demonstration. The legal sophistication of this operation intrigues as much as its technical aspect. The Salomon Brothers site and the claim procedure reveal a meticulously prepared legitimation strategy. A tailor-made legal framework. The site Salomon Bros. com/owner notice presents a complete legal argument. Doctrine of abandonment. Funds are considered abandoned after 14 years of inactivity. Claim procedure. 2 ways to prove ownership: on-chain signature or official documentation. Grace period. 90 days to come forward until October 5, 2025. Legal appropriation. After this deadline, funds could be legally claimed. Legal timeline. A surgical coordination. An analysis via the Wayback Machine reveals the temporal sophistication of this legal infrastructure. The site Salomon. Conclusion. Silent revolution or narrative masterstroke. The 80,000 BTC case will remain in Bitcoin history, and all elements converge toward a troubling evidence. We are very probably witnessing the first major cryptographic exploit in Bitcoin's history. The technical exploit hypothesis, quasi-evident. The operation's sophistication, its meticulous legal staging, and especially the perfect coordination of 8 uniform wallets massively argue for a successful technical exploit. This elaborate legal protection would make no sense for simple owners recovering their own funds. Why this legal cover? Because sending $8.6 billion to a centralized exchange without legal justification would immediately provoke an international investigation. The staging of the 90-day deadline and the legal framework of abandonment offers anticipated protection against authorities. The timing is not random. July 4th, independence, lost reference, dangerous secrets, 90-day ultimatum. Everything converges to transform a technical exploit into a legitimized narrative performance. 2 other, less probable hypotheses. 2. Opportunistic recovery. Truly abandoned funds have been recovered by their legitimate owners, using staging to protect themselves legally. 3. Artistic demonstration. A Bitcoin whale orchestrated this operation as a conceptual performance, mixing cultural references and power demonstration. The importance of October 5th. Whatever the true nature of this operation, the date of October 5, 2025 will mark a turning point. If the announced sale takes place, we will measure the real impact on markets. If it doesn't take place, the mystery will thicken further. Better understand the potential exploit. What is exactly Randstorm vulnerability? The curious case of the half-half Bitcoin, ECDSA nonces. CVE 2.024314997, nonces and random numbers. Beyond speculation. This case illustrates a fundamental truth. Bitcoin is not just a technology, it's a living ecosystem where technical innovation, economic strategy, artistic creativity, and power play intermingle. Each transaction tells a story. Each block carries a memory. And sometimes, like July 4, 2025, these stories become legends. The future will tell us whether we witnessed a simple awakening of dormant wallets or the first act of a silent cryptographic revolution. In either case, the Bitcoin ecosystem will emerge transformed. Because ultimately, this case poses the essential question. In a universe where code is law, who really holds power? The one who writes the rules, or the one who knows how to circumvent them? This investigation will continue with developments on October 5, 2025. The answers to our questions will shape the future of Bitcoin and the entire cryptographic ecosystem. Update to follow. Magnifying glass tilted left post-publication discoveries when the investigation reveals its secrets. Last update 2020-50707. The ultimate Easter egg. 733 3rd Avenue, the nod to crypto hunters. But the most striking discovery remains to be uncovered. By digging into the Salomon Brothers website information, meticulous analysis reveals what could be the greatest Easter egg of this operation. A direct reference to the world of crypto forensics and one of the most famous investigations in Bitcoin history. Warning: important clarification. This discovery, flagged by user at Isan Satoshi on Twitter, remains at this stage a troubling hypothesis rather than a certainty. Nevertheless, the converging elements deserve to be noted as they fit into the sophisticated narrative logic of this operation. 733 3rd Avenue, more than an address. This address, referenced on the Salomon Bros. Com site, is far from random. 733 3rd Avenue, New York, NY 10017, is the headquarters of Eisner Amper, one of the most renowned firms in crypto forensics and blockchain investigation. But that's not all. Gary Ilford, the man who unmasked Dread Pirate Roberts. This same address houses the offices where Gary L. Ilford worked, the IRS special agent who identified Ross Ulbricht as Dread Pirate Roberts, the founder of Silk Road. Ilford used old-school investigation methods, meticulous Google searches, and analysis of online discussions to trace back to the real identity of the creator of history's most famous darknet market. An encrypted message to investigators. By referencing this address, the entity sends a clear message to the forensic community. I know your methods, I know your history, I know who you are and where you work. It's simultaneously a tribute to crypto investigation capabilities, a provocation toward those who might attempt to track them, a demonstration of knowledge of the crypto forensic milieu, a challenge: you unmasked Ulbricht, can you find me? Absolute narrative sophistication. This reference adds to other artistic elements to confirm we're facing a total cryptographic artwork. The entity doesn't settle for a technical exploit. They weave a narrative web that encompasses Bitcoin's history, Silk Road, Ulbricht; pop culture, lost numbers; crypto investigation, Eisner Amper Ilford; legal principles, adverse possession; temporal symbolism, anniversary dates; direct hit the counterparty signal, coded message to Bitcoin insiders; investigation methodology, anticipating future scenarios. As part of this investigation pushed to the maximum, I explored potential scenarios for the continuation of this operation. A crucial question emerged. If the entity successfully exploits other ancient wallets, notably those from the Satoshi era, what would it do with these funds? The burn address hypothesis seemed logical. Rather than massively selling millions of BTC and causing market collapse, the entity could choose to burn part of these funds by sending them to destruction addresses. This strategy would allow making a strong philosophical statement while avoiding catastrophic economic consequences and intensive investigations. It was while exploring this hypothesis burn addresses as potential future destinations that a major discovery emerged regarding activities from July 2nd onward. The counterparty signal, coded message to Bitcoin insiders. A new discovery reveals even more advanced technical sophistication. On July 2, 2025, the day of the first op-return messages, a particular transaction reveals a signal intended for Bitcoin community insiders. Investigation note: this technical discovery was identified during in-depth research on other potential messages, but it's thanks to expert analysis from at Isan Satoshi that the precise meaning of this signal could be decoded. 548 sats, the historical dust threshold. The July 2nd transaction transfers exactly 0.000000548 BTC, 548 satoshis, to the official counterparty address. One counterparty XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXO LPVR. This amount is not random. 548 satoshis corresponds precisely to Bitcoin's historical dust threshold, the minimum amount for a transaction to be considered valid and non-spam by the network. Counterparty, signal to Bitcoin OGs. Counterparty is a decentralized protocol launched in 2014, built on Bitcoin, that allows creation of custom assets and tokens. Using this specific address sends a clear message to insiders. I know Bitcoin's deep history. I master meta protocols. I'm part of the first generation. A sophisticated technical beacon. As a technical analyst explains, sending exactly this amount to the counterparty address activates a precise signal known to historical users, an on-chain beacon. The op-return message is publicly readable, but it's this type of micropayment that speaks to insiders. It encodes an intention, a signature, a date, or a trigger. Technical profile of the entity. This use of counterparty reveals an even more sophisticated profile. 1. Authentic Bitcoin OG. Knowledge of first-generation protocols, 2014. 2. Deep technical mastery. Precise calculation of dust threshold. 3. Community culture. Signaling to initiated peers. 4. Meticulous planning. Signals sent from day one of the operation. Implications of this discovery. This counterparty beacon confirms the entity is not an opportunistic hacker, but a historical actor in the Bitcoin ecosystem. Masters the entire ecosystem, from low-level cryptography to meta protocols. Communicates in multi-layers, public messages, op-return and technical signals, counterparty. Addresses different audiences, general public via lost numbers, insiders via counterparty. The puzzle completes. Each discovery reveals an additional layer of sophistication. Community, signaling to Bitcoin OGs via counterparty.